Hi, I'm Leah and I'm a creative lifestyle blogger at leahgriffith.com, and I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous crepe paper peony. I've made this crepe paper peony pattern for you, and you can find a link for it right underneath this video. The pattern has 3 pieces for the petals, and I'm going to start with the smallest petal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that onto the crepe, and I'll cut the width of this particular one, maybe a little bit wider, that's okay. And I'll go ahead and cut the whole strip. So the easiest way that I've found to cut a lot of petals is I'll fold the strip that I've cut in half. I'll lay the pattern halfway onto the piece and then just cut around that. That way you can have one petal in almost, half the cutting time. Another way that I like to do it is I will cut strips for each. That way it's already pre-cut and I don't have to hassle with the long tail there. Okay, now I'll go back, fold it in half, place it on the halfway mark, and then cut around the petal. Remember that your petals don't have to be perfect. These patterns are just sort of a general, but just like any flower, nothing is perfect and exact. That's what makes it beautiful. I like to slide cut. So now I'm going to do the second petal, and that's kind of a heart-shaped petal. That will be your second largest, the middle. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to fold the crepe in half. I'll cut at the length, and then just cut around the one side. Some people have asked me if you can actually stack the crepe in more than one layer and cut, and you can. It's just a little bit more risky. You're not going to have quite the precise cut, but you can do it if you want to, if you feel comfortable and your scissors are sharp enough. Then the next petal we're going to cut is the large one, and for that we need 6 petals. This is going to take a couple strips. I'll go ahead and cut the width. I'm going to do that twice because I know I'll need more than one. Slide the scissors right along the grain of the crepe. I'll fold that in half, place it on the halfway mark. So peonies come in a lot of different shapes and sizes and different petal formations. And the one I'm making today, it has the larger outer petals that actually wrap around the center. And these, I think, are the ones you see a lot in weddings. They're very, very elegant. I think they're my favorite, although I don't know. Every peony I see, I absolutely love it. There are some shops that sell Italian crepe paper, but you can also get it online. The best place that I found is Crepe, and he supplies all the colors and weights. He has metallics, waterproof, all kinds of gorgeous crepes. Now all the petals are cut, and we're going to cut the center. And with this, I'm using that rectangular shape. And this one doesn't have a grain line, but you'll see the lines to cut the fringe, and that's what you'll line up along the grain. And you'll need 3 of these. So I'll go ahead and cut the strip approximately for what I think I might need. So now I'm going to cut these so they look like stamen. The way I'm going to do that is I'll use my scissors and cut right along the grain. Now I don't like doing them in a stack of 3 because I don't have as much control, and I want to cut it about as thin as I possibly can. Also, I'm going to leave about 1/4 to 1/2 inch right here on the end so that all my pieces stay together. So this is what it should look like when it's done. All 3 of these. And now we're ready to start the flower. I'm going to use an 18 gauge wire, and the larger the number on a wire, that means the thinner it is. So a 20 gauge is thinner, a 22 is even thinner. I want as thick as I possibly can, but you can still bend it with my fingers. I'm going to bend it down about 1/2 inch to 1 inch on the end, and the reason is I'm going to glue these yellow stamen onto this, and the more surface I have, the less likely it will slide off. All right, so we're going to get out the glue gun. I have it set on low temperature. Low temperature is perfect for crepe paper. I'm going to add just a little dab of glue on the end. Place my wire right into that, and then I'm going to roll it. Once I get to the end, add just a little bit more glue and close it off. I'm just going to continue by adding the other 2 pieces right on top of that. And there's the center of your peony. And now we're going to add petals. So I'm going to start with the smallest petal. And what I'm going to do is take my 2 thumbs and carefully press in the center and stretch it. I think I have about a penny-sized stretch right in the middle. I don't want to stretch out the edges because what we're trying to do is create a cup form. And if you stretch out the edges, it'll make it a little bit flatter. I'll take the top and I'll kind of zigzag it back and forth. And this is how I create that ruffled look at the top. And this is the beauty of crepe paper, that you can form it so easily with your fingers. I'm going to do that with all 7 of my petals. Okay, now that they're all stretched and shaped, I'm ready to glue them on. Just put a little dab right at the tip. And then I'm going to place it right under the base of the yellow. What I like to do is overlap them so that the first 3 can cover the inside and all 3 of them are overlapped. First 3 petals should look like this. And then the second 3, what I'll like to do is kind of cross it right over the 2. So you can see the split, and then this goes right in the center. Okay, I have my second petal, and these are the heart-shaped petals. And we're going to do exactly what we did on the first. So it looks like that. So our second set of petals are shaped and we're ready to glue them on. We're going to do it about the same way that we did the first set. I'm just going to add a little dab of glue right there at that point. And then on this one, I'm just going to kind of eyeball where they need to be placed. And then here's my 7th petal. Now we're ready for the final set. We're going to go ahead and stretch out the center. Maybe silver dollar size for the stretch. On the large petals, I'm not going to ruffle the edge, so these petals actually cut back around as much as possible. I'm going to add just a little bit of dab of glue right here at the point. And this one you're going to want to eyeball. I like to have this petal come up a little bit higher than the inside petals. So I'm going to overlap the second one just a little bit. Okay, here's my 5th petal and I've made it all the way around. So at this point, I can decide, do I need one more petal or are we okay as is? But in this case, I think it looks great. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully, using my fingers, curve the tip of the petals towards the inside of the balloon, just to add that little tiny bit of extra cup. And there, that looks beautiful. Then we have our green pieces. This little piece is what we're going to glue right at the base of the flower. And for this, I'm going to cut 6. Cut a very thin strip. And I'll use my method of pre-cutting the lengths first. And since these petals are so small, I'm just going to layer a couple of pieces of crepe and cut 2 out at a time. They're so thin that to fold it in half doesn't really make any sense. And this is the peony leaf, and I'm going to cut 3 of those. I'm just going to cut 3 together. And here are my 3 leaves. Now we're ready to finish this bloom by adding these little green pieces to the back. And as you can see, I'm just going to add some glue right to the tip again. And instead of gluing it onto the crepe paper, I'm actually going to glue it right onto the wire. I'm just going to pinch it right there onto the wire so that the actual leaf part of it goes right along the crepe paper. And then the final 2 on this side. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for a minute. And I'll take another floral wire. And for this one, I'm not going to fold it down. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue on the tip of one of these leaves. I'm going to place the wire right into that glue and then pinch the paper right over the glue. And that's going to stay pretty well. Since I have 3 leaves, I'll do that 2 more times. And now we're going to go to the floral tape. So I'm going to just take a piece of this. I'm going to cover a little bit of the crepe and just go down a few inches. So I'll do that by starting here. We'll go straight across. I'm going to pull it and pinch it. And the way that you activate the glue on this floral tape is by pulling it. And it becomes a little bit sticky. And then as I move it around, I'm actually going to pull it towards an angle moving down. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other 2 leaves. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the flower. Put it at an angle and twist and pinch and pull. One of the ways that I can make this little wobbly wire just a little bit firmer is I'm going to go ahead and tape this wire right into this one. For my first leaf, I'll put it pretty close to the base of the head. Right about there, I'm going to start taping it again. So I've moved down 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to add a second leaf. Move down another inch. Here's my third leaf. So now I'll just go ahead and finish all the way to the bottom. I'm just going to rearrange my leaves a little bit to the shape that I think I'd like them. And there you have it, the finished crepe paper peony. You can make them in any color of crepe paper if you want to. These are perfect for weddings or for parties, or even if you just want to put one in a vase, it's absolutely beautiful.